continuing with version 2 of the patch, and we've got Ostheer Infantry medical kits. The cost is going down from 15 to 10 munitions, so it's like the one time activate it. Should be good for like healing on the front lines. Nice change there. Bunkers. Command bunker no longer mutually exclusive with the med bunker. So if you want to go for some forward reinforcement and healing, don't want to go for a half track, you'll be able to upgrade a bunker to do both at once. So save a little bit of manpower, maybe make those kind of bunkers a bit more viable. It's pretty rare to see the command bunker, so maybe that will nudge it forwards a little bit. Dog G, given that it must cycle a reload before it can fire its target weak point for a fairly weak blind, we are increasing the ability's damage. Previously, it was better for the Stug not to use the ability because the damage was so low and it was more important against most targets. The target weak point damage is going up from 80 to 160. So it's a pretty nice buff there for the Stug, especially with all the buffs to the Churchill. Maybe you'll be able to fire back a little bit more effectively now. The Braun Bear, the bunker busting barrage recharge time is going down from 120 to 90. Now there's got a munitions cost, the long recharge not quite so necessary. Panzerwerfer, the Vet 1 ability, the low angle barrage is having its suppression removed, and this is a good change because we saw, that was like on par with the Calliope basically in terms of lethality, but because it has suppression, you can't dodge out to the side because you get suppressed and pinned. So very important here that it's having its suppression removed, otherwise it's, you've only got one dodge up option, and that's hit retreat, which is just, could be super punishing, so it's a very good change. Osttruppen, the last round of nerfs weren't quite enough to bring them in line, so a couple different changes are getting floated here. First off, their Panzerfaust range is going down from 18 to 15, so Grenadiers, 4 men, quite fragile, have a little bit of extra range on their Faust. And so did Osttruppen, but now it's going down to 15 to match most other squads in the game. And there's also experimental change, kind of like 2 different options floated here, and there'll be one in each of the 2 commanders, Osttruppen and Community Defensive. One of the options is that you have to build them from the HQ rather than call them in, 25-second build time. And this will kind of slow you down because you won't be able to build a machine gun and Osttruppen at the same time with the call-in. The other option here, which is available from Defensive, is that they are still called in, but now they cost 220 manpower. So, we'll be able to try both styles depending on which commander you pick, which will make it easier to narrow down what is the best one. There we go. To capture the same amount of territory, it took 209. I get to build my last Osttruppen, but you might not want to build this last Osttruppen squad with this kind of build. You might want to go for like a tech up here, try save that manpower for Panzer Grenadiers at this stage. So yeah, I think in the previous testing live version, to cap up this amount of map territory took 2 minutes, and with the other build with the cooldown changes, it took 2 minutes 20. So yeah, there is a difference in capping speed, about 10 seconds slower than live, but also a difference in like the way that the power arrives onto the map. I went for a 2 Osttruppen into machine gun build, which maybe is slightly faster for capping up the map with this style, but if a US player gets aggressive with their rifleman, you won't have the backup of the machine gun in the early game, which could get you in some trouble with the Osttruppen. So interesting with the new Osttruppen build from the HQ style. Moving on to OKW now, starting out with the Battlegroup headquarters, and this one is listed as experimental. Given the cost efficiency of the new OKW medics, we wanted to try an iteration that makes medics less difficult to backtech to and give OKW more options without needing to pay a large amount of resources for basic indirect fire. So it's getting split up even further. 150 manpower and 10 fuel offers the LEIG upon completion, which comes from off map. Medic upgrades cost goes to 50 manpower, 10 fuel. Battlegroup upgrade, 100 manpower, 20 fuel, unlocks flak half track and the searchlight. Infantry weapon upgrades. Okay, so you don't get your STGs until you get this Battlegroup stage. And ability to reinforce, 15-second research time. So we'll see how that looks in game. Taking a look at the second revision on how Battlegroup works. So first stage here, 150 manpower, 10 fuel. Get that going. And this stage to construct is 45 seconds. So it's the same as live. Exactly the same. The second stage, the mechanized support is what it's called. That's 15 seconds. And the medics is 25 seconds, so same as live as well. So you've got an extra 15 seconds of tech timing built in with this new style, but because you can start construction 15 fuel earlier, it's, you know, should kind of balance out, you know, the extra 15 seconds. In fact, you might even be able to get it out slightly earlier if you're on top of your tech timings well and manage the manpower correctly. So that's the first stage done there. Oh, interesting. It came with medics. I actually tested earlier with medics, and I built medics. You can see their corpses there before I deleted them to make this video. Interesting. Maybe do you only have to unlock medics once? This new style. Anyway, we'll go. Here's the mechanized support upgrade. So at this stage, you can only build the infantry support gun. You can also side tech to the medics here. So if you want to back tech, this style is pretty helpful. If you've got mechanized, you want to back tech, get out medics. And yeah, to get the flak half track and the IR searchlight, you have to get the mechanized support. So in terms of total cost, medics, mechanized support, and the first stage of Battlegroup, it ends up being costing exactly the same as in live. It's just kind of staggered in the way it approaches things. However, if you're looking to put down the Battlegroup, tech mechanized and get out a flak half track as fast as possible, for instance, that's just going to be a bit slower, right? Because previously you pay 200 manpower, 25 fuel, and then you could do it. Whereas now you have to pay 250 manpower and 30 fuel, and then you can do it. So this is like a slight nerf towards rushing out of flak half track. Stern Pioneers can now rebuy their Panzerschreck when dropped. Nice change there. The infantry support gun, the following changes will make the LEIG more responsive when firing at smoke barrages. Smoke ready aim time down from 1.75 seconds to 0.125 seconds. And weapon vertical speed when firing smoke from 15 to 35. So I believe this brings it more in line to what a regular mortar has in terms of smoke. Testing out the responsiveness of the LEIG smoke after these changes. Going to be comparing it to the Ostheer mortar. Do around 70 range. So straight head to head, it did look a little bit slower. The delay for the first shout of fire there seemed to be a little bit longer than my, switching from tab and activating the ability, but not by too much. And now we're going to see how they respond to rotating their weapons and then firing smoke barrage. I think that's a little bit different. So this should be a slight advantage, I think, towards the LEIG. It says to rotate a little bit less. So pretty similar there. Kind of similar to the difference in delay that we saw in the straight head-to-head, honestly. The Panzer II looks veteran ability, cautious movement, now is detected by enemy units in a 15 meter range rather than 20 meters. So yeah, a little bit harder to detect it. Maybe we'll make that a little bit more useful. The Walking Stuka. With the addition of proper penetration values, the Walking Stuka rockets became far too potent against emplacements and light vehicles, nearly able to destroy them in one barrage, we are reducing the damage it does against vehicles and emplacements. So the 50% bonus damage against emplacements is getting removed. Now has a minus 25% damage against vehicles, modifier against vehicles. So instead of doing 200 damage, we'll do 160. And napalm rocket suppression is going down from 0.2 to 1.1. Did appear to be very strong in previous testing. Testing out the patch version of the walking Stuka up against a mortar pit. Doing this from 10 range beyond mortar pit's auto fire range. Maybe a bit closer than you'd usually get. Okay, takes down about a quarter of the health. Looks like the scatter there was not terribly strong. We'll run that one back. Better connection that time. It kind of looked like almost 3 rockets landed on it. Took down maybe about 2/3 health. Go for a third time, just make sure we're evening things out here. Round 3 coming in. And you can see, after those 2 barrages, it doesn't have very much veterancy, so expect to beat up very quickly from doing this. That time about a quarter. So yeah, it's definitely going to come down a lot to the way that the rockets scatter. If you land 3, you can get about 2/3 of the health off. So if you land like either side of it, kind of like the first and the third, you're going to do about a quarter of the health instead. But yeah, either way, that doesn't look particularly strong against emplacements. Here we are in the live version for comparison, the damage it does against emplacements.
Ready rockets! Creeping barrage! Fire! Task complete.
Okay, so about 2/3 health gone there. Okay, a quarter, maybe slightly less than a quarter. That was horrendous scatter. About a quarter. So yeah, it seems to come down to scatter a lot in both live and the patch version, though I think the patch version should be a bit more consistent. You don't have to worry about like the AoE versus the direct hits and stuff like that. And now the patch version of the walking Stuka up against a 17 pounder. Once again, we'll target directly in the center. Same range as targeted the mortar pit from, by the way. Oof, rocket scatter on that occasion was horrendous. Only about a quarter of the health gone there. It looked like no rocket directly hit. It's kind of like one over here, one over here. Still about a quarter of the health gone there. Better connection that time, about half health. But yeah, it doesn't look like the rockets with this style are going to be super effective against emplacements. In fact, looks like they'll actually be not terribly strong. And now the live version, walking Stuka versus the 17 pounder. Same range as I was using mortar pit. About a third of the health gone there. About a third gone again. About a third again. So yeah, it does look, I suppose, pretty similar between the patch version and the live version. And in the patch version, you get access to the incendiary rockets a lot earlier, and they were very, very strong against emplacements. So I'd probably try and use those against emplacements in the patch instead of just the regular barrage. And finally for OKW, the Panther is being standardized with the Ostheer counterpart, receiving a nerf to acceleration bonuses in exchange for lower veterancy requirements. So the requirements are going down right across the board. Vet 1, 2, Vet 5, even though Ostheer Panther doesn't get Vet 4 and Vet 5, kind of interesting. And the Vet 3 XL and decel bonus is being reduced from 30% to 10%. Moving on to the British HQ structures. To make it easier to utilize other healing options, infantry will only retreat directly towards the HQ rather than to the platoon or company command post. So yeah, those are the structures on the edge of your base that you get through teching up. And yeah, previously it was quite annoying, you know, squads coming in from the sides of the map might retreat to those. And then if you got your medics or your forward assembly with medics in the center, you'd have to manually move them to the center for them to get healing. So yeah, this will make it easier to utilize your healing options as the British. Here we are in the live version. I'm going to be retreating 2 squads from either side fuel points. See where they end up back at base. Here we are on Crossroads, standard map. I've decided to put down a US Forces ambulance because I believe in the patch, medics kind of act like an ambulance, same like AoE and whatnot. So will they be within range of healing in the live version after retreating? Looks like the squad coming in from the left will be. So the squad on the right.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, so it looks like on Crossroads, doesn't really make too much of a difference. The AoE healing on the ambulance is large enough. Oh, I spoke too soon. Looks like maybe 1 or 2 models were not quite in healing range there. Okay, maybe not then. Good thing I waited until they were fully healed up. Looks like 1 model was not in. Same test, but now in the live version, retreating from the fuel points. This time we've got the British medics camped out in the center. So, you know, they should retreat to the center anyway. And, you know, even if it doesn't make a huge impact in terms of using like medics or using an ambulance, something like that, it will be quite nice as well if you're just using like the Tommy medkits, having all your units closer together. So you can like activate medkits, especially if you don't have them on all squads. If you're using like tank hunters or machine guns or snipers, having them retreating to a closer point together so you can make better use of the medics as well will be quite helpful. Going to run that again. They're coming in from opposite sides. I did see that they weren't quite on top of each other. I want to see if they're going to be within range of each other if I activate the healing on this squad. Will this squad coming from the outside get healed? No. So it is still going to require a little bit of micro if they're coming in from opposite sides of the map. Retreat point's not like dead set in the center. It'll be like either side of this kind of structure. So yeah, it will still actually require a little bit of micro if you want to use Tommy healing kits and units coming in from opposite sides. Big change here for infantry sections. With the loss of the capture bonus, we want to give the British player an ability to quickly retake territory through a unit upgrade. The scoped Lee Enfield is there to improve the long range effectiveness of the squad at the cost of short range and moving firepower, while also preventing the squad from doubling up on weapon upgrades. So this is going to be called the Raid package. Provides 1 scoped Lee Enfield, 33% capture and decapture rate, and 15% speed boost when not in combat. So yeah, they're going to be pretty good at capping up. I think previously sections have 20 or 25%. So this is stronger than what got removed from them this patch. Removes the penalties for fighting out of cover. Ooh. But increases construction time by 75%, so yeah, we won't be very good at building sandbags with those. Cost 40 munitions. And this is the DPS profile of the scoped Lee Enfield. So yeah, you can see here it increases in DPS as you go further out in range, and that's quite rare in Company of Heroes. Basically only LMGs do that, and the G43 for Jaeger-Light Infantry. Those are like the only 2 weapon types that actually increase in DPS as you go out in range. In fact, we can compare that to the G43. You've got 2.81 close versus 3.84 far. The Jaeger Light one is 2.2 close. Actually drops off around 28 range. Interesting. And 2.6 far. So quite a lot more overall in this. But then you have to remember the Jaeger Light, the ability to snipe. I think it's got a bonus against units in cover as well. So you can't do a direct comparison here, but a very interesting change. We'll have to test that in game. Checking out the raid package here. Going to start exactly 1 minute 30. See how long it takes to complete. We'll go for medics at the same time. See how it is comparatively in terms of build speed. Okay, so medics are way faster. But you can get this raid upgrade. Okay. Looks like you can't get raid and medics on the same squad. But you can get this raid upgrade before platoon command. You don't have to have ticked up for this one. And that's the icons at the moment. So yeah, the raid package does lock you out of healing or the other pyrotechnics. Now we'll have a bit of a foot race out to about 80 range. See who gets there first. Okay, now there's like a lightning bolt above their heads. Wasn't when they're standing still. Yeah, they are running a bit fast. You can definitely notice that. Okay, so it's only when moving that the lightning symbol appears above the portrait. Interesting. So yeah, you can see the scope on the model carrying it. Scope rifle. How many weapons can we pick up? Looks like one. So yeah, it does lock you out. You can only get one Bren alongside this upgrade. So we're testing out the raid package combat capability. In this case, units behind heavy cover. So, you know, kind of cover test, but these guys do have an out of cover bonus. We'll cover that one next. See if that long range scope works out. So there we go, ran this test 6 times here, and looks like the new raid package squad doesn't only won once, which you would expect with that long range rifle upgrade that they would win. I know that they you know, both should have a cover bonus or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I would expect with that long range rifle upgrade that, you know, maybe they wouldn't win 100%, but I mean, they only won one. Got 2 models, 3 models, 4, 3. So yeah, they actually lost quite badly in this test. That is a little bit worrying. Just because I was so surprised by the result, I decided to run it again, see if we get some different results this time. Okay, so here we are at the end of round 2 of testing, and this time it's a 50-50. 3 of the recon sections won, 3 of the regular sections won. Both sides with kind of similar health as well. 2 models pretty healthy, 1 model very low. So yeah, I was expecting more difference. I know that the recon section has an, you know, doesn't have the penalties when they're out of cover. But I was expecting a bigger differential here. Just because I'm so surprised I'm going to run this a 3rd time. See what the story is. Because yeah, so far the scoped infield, you know, it's supposed to be a long range, good rifle at long range. And I'm not really living up to that at the moment. So here we are at the end of test 3, and again it's a 50-50 split. Infantry sections versus recon sections. But it looks like this time the regular infantry sections maybe has slightly more health. 1 squad getting through on 3 models, but not by a huge amount. This but also very healthy on 2 models. But yeah, I mean, for what is supposed to be like a long range specialist rifle, you know, they're not really performing much better long range, or if at all better, than regular infantry sections. That's a little bit worrying. Now for the outer cover test, I'm expecting this to go, you know, quite a bit better for the recon section, since they're supposed to have their out of cover penalties removed. So this time the recon sections won 4-2. But yeah, a very narrow margin overall. Mortar emplacement. The heavy mortar barrage is having its range reduced to make the barrage less powerful on smaller maps. Heavy barrage range reduced from 180 to 50. I think that's a good change. 180 was a bit far, even though I think it was bugged when I initially tested it. Churchill infantry tank is having its rear armor reduced to make it more vulnerable to being flanked by medium tanks, while still remaining higher than usual values due to its damage sponge roll. The unit is also receiving a pintle machine gun to increase its firepower against infantry. Wow. Rear armor is going down from 180 to 150. So I believe 180 is the frontal armor value of like a Panzer IV, you know, without the skirts. So yeah, it was pretty hard for medium tanks flanking this to actually do damage to the Churchill. And comparing this to the KV-1, which kind of serves a similar role at a roughly similar price. I think that's got 165 rear armor, but it also has way less health than the Churchill. So that's a nice comparison there. Veteran C1 now grants a Vickers K Pintle. Weapon follows the rotation of the turret. Okay, that's interesting. And this is the Pintle's DPS at different ranges. And this DPS is kind of more in line with like a coaxial machine gun rather than other pintle upgrades. Taking a look at the revised Churchill here, and you can see that the Vickers is already sitting on top of the tank there. I didn't cover the tank commander in the last patch, so we can take a look at that. Pops out of the hatch there. The scopes. And then we'll go for the vet. Pops out of the hatch and mans the Vickers. So that's what it looks like. So now I'll do a quick test here against a Fox Grenadier squad. Vet 1 with the tank commander versus no upgrades at all. See how it goes. Not that the Vickers is upgrade, it's, you know, Vet 1 bonus. See if that makes a difference in terms of time to kill here at this range. It does of course, you know, come down to RNG on the main guns somewhat, but you can see the more consistent damage from machine guns on the other tank. And this one's overshot about 2 or 3 times. But yeah, you can definitely notice the difference in the machine gun firepower there from that Vet 1. And last for the British, we have the 17-pounder emplacement. Its world-piercing rounds are being reduced in cost to better match their performance, going down in cost from 90 to 60 munitions. I think this is the same that the Jagdtag has to pay, use its piercing rounds. So evening things out there. Moving on to the bug fixes. Fixed a bug where the PM41 82mm mortar did not receive bonuses to its ability recharge at veterancy. Fixed an issue where vehicle crews would lose their increased experience gained from elite vehicle crews when decrewing. Okay, that's a huge bug fix there. Going to make Armour Company a lot more appealing now. Fixed an issue where Major Recon Pass would change hotkeys upon gaining veterancy. Nice. Fixed an issue where Re-Echelon Volley Fire greatly lowered accuracy during its second and third stages of Volley Fire. Corrected to +3 and +4% instead of -97 and 96%. That could make Volley Fire really good now. Well, I ran a couple different Volley Fire tests, different ranges, different scenarios, and honestly I couldn't notice much of a difference with this change, so maybe not the groundbreaking change that I thought it was going to be upon reading the notes. Fixed an issue where the M5 quad would announce a crocodile has been destroyed as the British faction. That was funny, but I'm glad it's gone. Fixed an issue where the M5 quad icon would vanish from the US Forces M5 when it was decrewed. Fixed an issue regarding combined arms where it was triggering without infantry nearby on certain maps. Okay, nice change there. Fixed an issue where sextants would cease their coordinated Valentine barrage when a target in the area was destroyed. Fixed an issue with the KV2's tooltip regarding population. It will now properly state 21 rather than 19. Fixed an issue where the Tiger Ace in Spearhead mode would auto-fire on infantry even when prioritized vehicles was on. Fixed an issue where OKW Panzer IV would get additional sight bonuses at Vet 5. Fixed an issue where Radio Science's speed boost would affect units while retreating. Okay, wow. Didn't notice that. Fixed an issue where Stuka smoke drop was at 4 command points for Wehrmacht instead of 2 command points. Fixed an issue where the headquarters glider required a player to have 9 population available to call it in. The British command vehicle ability should now properly go on cooldown if the command vehicle has been abandoned. Fixed an issue where the Pathfinder beacon self-destruct ability had no hotkey, set it to E. Fixed an issue where the land mattress's reinforced value was set to 1 rather than 0.5, so it'll be a lot less expensive to reinforce the land mattress now. And a mod bug fix. Fixed an issue where the Valentine could be called in multiple times in the mod. A huge thank you goes out to my Patreon backers for helping support the production of these videos.